I've been vicar here since July 2012. It's almost exactly my 8th anniversary. What drew me to the church was the variety in the area. You've got the contrast between Bloomsbury on one side of the Euston Road and Somerstown on the other, one of the poorest wards in the country, and it just seemed a busy and exciting and very diverse area to minister in. Well, I think I'm very aware that my time at St Pancras has been relatively stable in terms of external events. My predecessor had to deal with the 7/7 bombings and the after effects of that in the local community. And of course, the dramatic thing that's happened during my time here is the coronavirus outbreak, and it's too soon yet to work out the impact of that. And my hope is that the church can be part of those conversations, and in the meantime we can be a place of hospitality for those who have stayed here, but also I think to offer that timeless presence that says to people, God hasn't gone away in all of this. That the worship of God will go on, the prayer will go on, the fact that we're here as a sign and as a centre for spiritual exploration will still go on, and hopefully that will make a really positive contribution to the community.
And the congregation at St Pancras Church is very, very mixed. When you think of the area we're in, we've got the railway stations, we've got the university, we've got a lot of hotels and office blocks, and as well as a regular congregation of people who live nearby, we have people who travel in from afar, and we have visitors staying in the hotels, we have people who work locally. So the people who come through the church here, both on a Sunday and a weekday, are a real mixed cross-section of the community. And we have links with all the local community, with other local churches, with charitable organisations like the Food Bank, and a lot of work with people who are homeless. So it's very much a thriving church, and very much linking into all that's going on in the local community.
St Pancras Church means a lot to me because of their way of treating, the community. They are very warm and very welcoming. I've been going to St Pancras Church for at least minimum 6 years. I've been going there, I've been attending the mass, and I feel so good there because, the whole group and the setup is really nice for everyone. Everybody is so welcoming in there, so you feel at home. Really.
As a church, we believe in working in partnership with community organisations rather than trying to run our own projects all the time. So we're absolutely delighted to work very closely with the Euston Food Bank.
The church, support the food bank by giving us access to their hall. Yeah, and they help us as well, giving vouchers to our clients. We have all sorts of people coming to the food bank. We have working class families using the food bank. We have people on benefit. We have people on the homeless people, and people that really can't make ends meet, or people that are waiting for their decision to be taken by the Home Office. So we have all categories of people using the food bank. Yeah, we have lots of volunteers. Without the volunteers, I don't think the food bank will survive. So we have a very nice group of people that come and help day in day out to run the food bank.
I think one of the issues of working in such a diverse area is that you become very aware of all the social changes as they happen around you. So when the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, when you stand on a crossroads like this, the effects are very obvious. So neighbourhood church, of course, is one of the places where people are meeting each other from across these great divides, and that's what makes my job so very interesting.
Well, I always think that the parish church, you must think village, and the core of a village is going to be the hall, the church and the school, and therefore I think the parish church has a really important role to play as a focus for the community. You had the old St Pancras Church, renovated by the Victoria, but it still has the original altar stone that the Roman legionaries back in the 300s would have worshipped at, and which was there when St Augustine came in the 900s. Even during Cromwell's time, they buried the silver and assembled the apprentices there to defend London from incoming resurgence. So that provides the sort of continuity through time. There's at least two things that I really like about the church, and the first has to be the caryatids, the statues of the women holding up the porches to the crypt. And that's such an amazingly pagan symbol that sort of reminds us of the continuity of religion as part of our history and societal inheritance. So not the sylph-like little caryatids that they have at the Temple of the Erechtheum in Greece, but instead we have these ladies who remind us of the pagan past that is our heritage, that goes right through all of the threads of the history of our community. But the thing I like best about the church is that it's got so many pillars. If you walk into that church, there are pillars to the right of you, to the left of you, in serried ranks around the apse. It's so secure, and it's a very happy feeling, that it's not about to fall down.
One of the most interesting things about working here is that whenever we open the doors, people seem to come in. And it can be absolutely anybody in the space of a single day, from somebody walking to their office and just popping in for a couple of minutes before a difficult meeting or an interview. Could be some of the rough sleepers. We have some on our steps most nights, and on a cold or a wet day they might need sanctuary.
Every single day is a struggle. Every single day.
Students who are worried about their exams have been known to pop in, and tourists, when the tourist season is busy and we're surrounded by hotels, we're on the way to one station or another for most people, so they just pop in to see this really interesting building. But hopefully once they're in here, whatever it is that's brought them in, we hope that something of the sacredness of the space will just be there for them to glimpse. I always feel that the church will always have some moments in any society, because there are questions of existence and of spiritual expression people will always want to explore in some way or other.
I think it's about 68 years. But actually this is home ground, because my parents came from this neighbourhood. My great grandmother lived in Somerstown, so my roots are here. Well, I mean, my religion is, important to me. I was brought up a Christian. My father was a priest, and so I always went to church. And it's a sort of fixed reference point, at least on a Sunday, to go to church. It's sort of anchors one, I think, and for the everything else that goes on in one's life, you've got that fixed point. So it's a beautiful setting for prayer and worship, outstanding music, art and sculpture, open-minded Christian teaching, a welcoming congregation, and a passion for justice. And I think that really sums it up.
We've been very closely involved with some of the protests over the HS2 developments in this area, not necessarily against the train itself, but against the way it's being brought into Euston. That's just destroying most of the local green spaces and being particularly difficult for some of the residential community to the west of the station. So to stand with them, to go to parliamentary select committees with them, to even on one occasion be chained to a tree with them, has actually been a very important statement, I think, because they are us, as it were. We're all part of this neighbourhood and we're all going to have to live with the effects of this development. It's very interesting during the pandemic that most of my conversations about mortality, about faith, about life after death, most of those conversations have come with people outside the church, more afraid for the people they love rather than for themselves. But of course the difficult thing about COVID is that it has separated people at a time when actually you most wanted to be together with the people that you love, to look after them and to know that they were safe. But I think the church will always have a role to play in this nation, and I think at times, particularly at the moment with the coronavirus outbreak, I think that people are searching in all sorts of ways for some kind of truth and meaning and certainty, and this will always be a place where they're very welcome to come and discuss that. We're not a particularly hardline church. We really do welcome a spirit of inquiry and discussion rather than dogma and doctrine. And that's why we're so concerned to be as open as we can, just so people can come and sit and think and pray and talk to someone if they need to. There's a huge challenge at the moment for the church to rethink everything in the light of the COVID pandemic, and there's lots of conversation about cities breaking down into smaller local units. It strikes me that that's the vision on which the parish church came into being in villages, but it has also maintained that vision in cities as well and in the suburbs. So here we stand in the midst of this community. There's a huge opportunity for us to help to reshape this community in a COVID era. Yes, I think we've learned a lot about ourselves as a church in the COVID era. I think it's deepened our sense of commitment to one another. And I've been very touched really by seeing how many people have taken the initiative to stay in touch with those that they know. The levels of compassion have been enormous. The levels of prayer have been enormous. That first Sunday in July was a glorious thing, really. In lots of ways, we were all just occupying our own little space in the church. There was no singing, there was no choir. But here we were again in this place where people have said their prayers for nearly 200 years. And it's just reconnected us to that history and to that tradition, and then much more obviously to each other.